Welcome. This is your Mac Life Show number 1034 for November 26th, 2014. I am Shawn King. Thank you guys very much for joining us, whether you are tuned in via the archive or listening in live to the show here on this Wednesday evening, pre-Thanksgiving, Thanksgiving Eve, the day before Thanksgiving, U.S. Thanksgiving. Do other countries have Thanksgiving any time of the year? I know Canada obviously does in October. It was funny when I first moved to Nashville and started to become friends with the folks at the Griffin Technology offices. And Dave D, ever thought of doing commercial voiceovers? Yes, I have, Dave. I've done them, and I'd like to do more, but I can't get my foot in that door like a lot of other doors I can't get my feet in. So November rolls around, and some of the folks at Griffin said, "Happy Thanksgiving." And I said, "Thank you very much, but I'm Canadian. We celebrated ours a month ago." And they were like, "Really? Why?" And for some reason, because I'm evil, I told them, well, in Canada, we celebrate all of our holidays a month before America. And they were like, "Really?" "Yeah." So our Thanksgiving is in October. Christmas is in November. Valentine's Day is in January. Easter is in... And I had them going. These poor, nice Southern people. This mean Canadian lied to them. And yeah, MacMan, they bought it? Yeah, they bought it because Americans don't know anything about Canada. It sounds perfectly plausible, doesn't it? Because a lot of Americans have heard that Canadians have Thanksgiving a month before. So, if you're some good old boy from down south, it sounds perfectly plausible that maybe they'd have Christmas a month earlier, too. Maybe they'd have Valentine's Day a month earlier, too. I should have felt bad about that, but I didn't. I thought it was just hilarious. I wonder if there's Americans now down in Nashville still spouting, "Yeah, Canadians have Christmas on November 25th. Oh, no, our Canadian told me that." On tonight's show, we'll talk about Thanksgiving a little bit. We'll talk about Apple's $700 billion market share evaluation. If you gathered up all the shares in Apple and multiplied the share price by the number of shares you gathered up, you'd have $700 billion, the most valued company on the planet. And will it hit $1 trillion like a lot of folks predict? I don't think so. We'll talk to Jim Dalrymple about that, among other things, on tonight's show. We're also going to be talking about a very cool app I found, I think about a year ago. I actually helped the developer beta test it and gave him some suggestions on how to fix the app, or not fix it, but make the app even better. It's a really neat app called Over. It's available on the iTunes Store. I think it's available for free. Folks in the IRC chat room, please tell them to do a search on the iTunes Store for Over, O-V-E-R, and let me know if it's still a free app. I know they had it free last week. I'm not sure if it still is. Yeah, Brian Monroe says it was free the last time I checked. It's a great app for adding text to a picture. Not every picture needs text, but sometimes you want to put a word or two description of the image or whatever it might be. And Over is the app that I found the easiest to do that with. So I'll give you a little video demonstration of that later on in the show. As always, we encourage you guys to join us on the show. You can send us email to onair@yourmaclifeshow.com. I love getting emails from you guys, whether you're shooting them to me via during the live show or during the week of the show if you're tuned into the archive. And if you are listening in live, please join us in the IRC chat room. For you IRCers, it's irc.chat-solutions.org/, and then we're in the Pound Your Mac Life channel. Or if you are not an IRCer but still want to join us, go to the website, yourmaclifeshow.com. Right there on the front page, you see the video. Below the video, you'll see a field where you can put in a name. And when you click enter or hit the button, it drops you into our IRC channel. Thanks very much to our good friend Monty down there in Atlanta, Georgia, for setting that up for us. It's really easy to get into the IRC. I mean, that's why Monty set it up for me. We wanted to make it as easy as possible. Now, tomorrow, again, is Thanksgiving. How many of you guys tuned into the show right now have ever had this thing called turducken? I had it one year down in the States. I had a deep-fried turkey One year in the States, I actually deep fried it myself, and it was delicious. And then there's this other thing called turducken, which is just the idea of a turducken is hilarious. It's the idea of a chicken stuffed inside a duck, stuffed inside of a turkey. And it's insanely complicated. You basically have to debone a turkey. And deboning a turkey is not easy. You have to debone the chicken. You have to debone the duck. And then you have to like put layers of things inside of other things. And it's ridiculous. Who thought up the idea of a turducken? I know John Madden, the football announcer, gets a lot of credit for popularizing it, but he obviously wasn't the guy who thought it up. But it's just the idea of all the work you have to go through. It's a lot of work. But I'll tell you, done properly, oh my goodness, it's delicious. If you like turkey and chicken and duck. And as MacMan says in the RC chat room, he's not a fan of duck. I actually like duck. I'm a big fan of duck. But yeah, it's a lot of work. Even deep frying a turkey is a lot of work too. When I deep fried one when we were living in Connecticut, you obviously have to buy special gear. You have to be extraordinarily careful, and it's tough to buy that much oil. You can't just go out and buy 4 gallons of cooking oil. You kind of got to buy 52 regular sized containers and dump them into your packaging. And the idea of deep frying a turkey, what you're kind of doing is creating a hot oil bomb on your deck in your backyard. Because if you do it wrong, the damn things explode. The whole apparatus can literally explode, spewing 400-degree oil all over yourself and your neighbors and your back deck and all that kind of stuff. It's ridiculously dangerous. And you will see on your local news some point over this long Thanksgiving weekend stories of somebody, usually somebody down south, blowing themselves up by deep frying a turkey badly. But if you're the kind of person that remembers the turkey that your mom or your grandmother would make and it was really dry, that white meat that you had to cover in gravy and cranberry sauce just to be able to choke it down, you remember that turkey? Then you got to try deep fried turkey. Oh my God, it's good. Oh, it's so delicious. Deep fried turkey, no matter how much work and effort it is really freaking good. I mean, it's delicious. Now, I'm not a turkey guy. I'm more of a ham guy. I much prefer ham for holiday meals and celebrations. I love ham with a good mustard. Oh, that's so good. For Thanksgiving and Christmas and that kind of stuff, for any celebrations. I like ham much more than that. And so what that meant was that my mom was crazy enough, because she was the oldest of the family, and everyone would come to my mom's house for Thanksgiving and for Christmas. My mom would do all the cooking. So she would cook a couple of chickens, a couple of turkeys, a couple of ducks, a giant ham, every vegetable known to mankind, and like 6 pies. There'd be a blueberry pie and a pumpkin pie and a sweet potato pie and a chocolate pie and lemon meringue pie. And oh my God, my mother would cook for days before Thanksgiving or before Christmas. Great meals though. Oh my goodness, they were good. When someone puts that kind of effort into a meal, it's good. And then the thing is, the next at least 5 days, you're having the world's greatest sandwiches. There's nothing like a chicken ham turkey sandwich with cranberry sauce and mustard. That's a great sandwich. You guys have any Christmas or Thanksgiving traditions of your family? My mom always made lemon meringue pie. That was one of the things that she always made. She made really good lemon meringue pie. And she always made ham for me. Other people would eat it, but the ham was for me. Was never a giant fan of cranberries in general, certainly cranberry sauce. possibly because of the way it always came out of a can. I don't know if there's. I don't think I've ever seen non-canned cranberries. Because it was always. You'd open that can up, and that Jello would come out. That was basically was cranberry Jello would come out. I'm trying to think of the other Thanksgiving traditions. Obviously, football for Americans and Canadians too. But yeah, do other countries have Thanksgiving type celebrations, or is it just a North American thing? Not even North American thing. Is it just a Canada-U.S. thing? And then obviously after Thanksgiving comes the I can't wait for Tuesday. So Black Friday and Cyber Monday and Cyber this and Cyber that and Black this and Black 10 finally frickin' stop. It's not going to stop completely because there's still going to be 8,000 more sales to go on. But Black Friday really isn't much of a deal anymore. We're hearing all kinds of stories from companies that raise prices 3 months ahead of time and then cut the price for Black Friday back to the original price. So you're getting 25% off of nothing. There's one website I saw that showed that the Black Friday deals from some companies were the exact same deals as they were selling last year. So that meant for a year-old product, they were still selling at the exact same price and claiming Black Friday deals. Leaving aside the insanity of the mad rushes for limited deals at places like Best Buy and Target and Fry's and you know what? I don't need to save $100 on something by standing in line for 7 hours. I mean, there are people lined up now outside of some stores so they can get a big screen TV, so they can save what, $200 off a big screen TV? How much is your time worth? My time is worth more than $200. I'll buy it, next Wednesday. Best Buy loves it because of the free press they get. Dave D, I'm getting this insane deal on an Apple Watch on Friday. I saw it on the internet, so it must be true. Staples had iPad minis for $219 today. That's a good deal, Iker. Yeah, there are deals to be found, but just certainly not as much as the perception of the deals that can be found. So shop carefully. If you're shopping online, by the way, if you're shopping on Amazon.com, please go to the website, yourmaclifeshow.com first. Click on one of our Amazon links there on the left-hand side. You may have to scroll down a little bit, but if you click on one of those Amazon links, it doesn't mean you're going to buy that thing, but what it does is anything you buy during that Amazon.com session, we get a little bit of a pimp fee, a little bit of a kickback from Amazon, a few pennies from Amazon. And this is the big time of the year for online shopping. So if you're going to do online shopping on Amazon.com, please, come to our website first and then click through. We'd appreciate that. We make a few bucks off of that. About once every 3 months, I get a Amazon email that says I've got $100 in my Amazon account. I put it in my Amazon account and buy stuff. So it's just a way of supporting Your Mac Life. Later on in the show, we're going to talk about the app called Over from the nice folks at, I don't know what company they're at. Over. We'll call it Over. We'll talk a little bit about that. We're also going to talk to, up next, our good friend Jim Dalrymple from The Loop at loopinsight.com. This is Your Mac Life.
Your Mac Life.
Welcome back, folks. This is Your Mac Life. I am Shawn King, joined in our phone room by our good friend Jim Dalrymple of The Loop. Jim, how you doing?
Well, pretty crappy, thanks for asking.
Why are you pretty crappy?
Well, I don't know.
Oh, just in
one
general.
Of those days, I guess.
Okay, you're not down because of the holidays?
Why would you be down because of the holidays?
No, Thanksgiving.
I got a couple of Heineken, a bag of barbecue chips, and a pack of smoke.
Hey, wait a minute. Where'd you get barbecue chips? You're down in the States. Oh, no, I'm thinking ketchup chips. Never mind. I'm thinking ketchup chips.
Yeah, so I'm good.
Okay, that's fine. you're just your general grumpy self.
Well, yeah, I think so.
All right,
at this point.
That's fair. Speaking of speaking of things that make you grumpy, did you see?
Are we done?
Not yet. Hang in there. Did you see this story that it's another one of those examples where you and I have talked about it over the years many times. How do companies think that these things won't get them in trouble? Twitter will soon track the apps on your smartphone to deliver more targeted ads. Did you see this?
I did.
Twitter is going to, by using their Twitter client, going to go through your phone, find out what apps you use in order to better sell you or send you advertisements. How the hell do they believe this is a good thing?
Well, I think the point is that they don't care if it's a good thing.
Fair enough. That's right.
Really? I mean, they have, how many gazillion users does Twitter have now?
Yep.
They don't care if you think it's a good thing or not. It's a free service, and it's one of those things that we're willing to give up. And what we end up giving up is the privacy. So I think what all Twitter users should do is install every porn app that you can find on the App Store and then let Twitter at it.
I don't know if that's such a good idea. Isn't there a better idea you could think of, Jim?
No, that's all I could come up with after 2 Heineken.
Well, what about, I don't know, maybe not using the Twitter app? Is that a possibility?
See, now you're just being sensitive. If that's the way you're going to be, I'm just going to hang up.
Twitter says this will serve you a more, quote, tailored experience, including who to follow, suggestions, relevant tweets, and other content. It adds to your timeline as well as its promoted content.
It'll recommend every Playboy Playmate that's ever been on Twitter that you follow. I'm telling you, this is a good idea.
I think overall it's probably a bad idea, but I wonder if you're right that they just don't care, or whether they're just frickin' tone deaf and not realizing that people don't. This is just a dumb thing for them to do. Now, to be fair, if you do still, for whatever reason, want to use the Twitter app, they do allow you to opt out of this. They unfortunately, you have to go through a process to do it. It should, as always, be opt-in, but you can go to the app itself and opt out of these things. But I think this is a perfect example of go use a different Twitter app.
Well, I mean, there's always that. But what do people do when they go to the App Store? They search for Twitter. Twitter app pops up. They download it.
Yeah,
that's it. You know, I mean, after they become more in tune with Twitter, they may go and install different apps and things like that. They may install what their friends use or whatever the case may be. But first shot at the App Store is going to be the Twitter app, and Twitter knows that.
Yep, I don't disagree with you on
and
that.
And Twitter doesn't care.
I still have lots and lots of people who after using Twitter for a period of time will ask me what Twitter app I use and recommend, and I just tell them there's lots of free ones out there. Use anything but the Twitter app. Even before this idiocy of today, I always tell them to use any other app.
I like the Twitter app because the Twitter app shows me, new follows, and it shows me retweets, and it shows me all this stuff, and the other ones don't.
Well, no, that's bullshit. Yes, the Tweetbot does all that stuff and more.
Tweetbot doesn't show you who in your timeline of mentions who retweeted and who followed. That's why I stopped using it.
It pops up with a notification that someone's followed you. It pops up with a notification that someone's retweeted
but it doesn't show you on your timeline. Listen to me. On your timeline, like Twitter does in the mentions. The Twitter app shows in your mentions, this person favored your tweet, or, these 100 people followed you, or whatever.
Wow.
I like seeing that.
So you're that much of a new media douchebag. You need to know when someone retweets you.
Listen. Let's not beat around the bush. I'm a total asshole, and yes, I want to see something. And if I want to see it and the Twitter app has it and nobody else does, then I have to ask why the other people don't. Does Twitter not allow them access to the API, or, what's going on? By the end of this call, I'm going to have more than those 2 beer.
Oh, I hope so. See, now, what I do is I have Twitter send me emails when someone does that kind of stuff. I don't need to see it. I'm unlike you. I'm not so vain. I need to see that stuff in my timeline. But I will get emails from Twitter saying so-and-so retweeted you, or you've got new followers.
I don't want those emails. I just want to see it. Just as a glance by what's been going on. And here at a glance in your timeline is, here's who followed you, here's who liked the tweet, here's who retweeted the tweet, and then I move on, and then it's gone. I don't want to see an email about it. But we talked about this morning. I mean, you scrounge through every last email you get. I just mark them all red. So I would never see those emails from Twitter.
So you use the official Twitter app. And I don't. So does the promoted content thing bother you? Do you see a lot of ads in your Twitter feed?
Not a lot.
Yeah.
I do see some. It doesn't really bother me that much because I've been skipping by it, but apparently they're going to make it a bit more difficult to skip by. I just put a lit cigarette in my back pocket, so.
You're a little distracted, are you?
I forgot to put it out. I was reaching for my beer and I didn't know what to. So if I start screaming that I'm on fire, it's not a joke. Call the fire department.
That's right. So I use Tweetbot on the iPhone and the iPad, and I use an app called Yoru Fukaru, which is the weirdest name ever for a Twitter client, on the desktop. So you use Twitter, I'm assuming, on your iPhone and your iPad, right?
And on the desktop.
And the desktop too. Wow, really interesting. See, now I thought if you were that much of a power user, I thought you'd use something like TweetDeck or something like that.
I'm not a power user.
You're just vain.
Not like that. I scan. I mean, I go into Twitter and I scan through, what's new, who said what, and then I move on.
Yeah.
So that's why I don't need the emails. I used to use Twitterific, Tweetbot, and I found that it made my job a whole lot easier if I could scan my timeline and see, okay, these people followed.
Yeah.
And, there may be somebody that followed that I look at and say, oh, gee, Shawn, I don't follow Shawn. So maybe I should follow him.
but why do you care? But why do you care who follows you? What difference does it make?
No, it's not. It's not because of I'm sitting back looking at it saying, "Ooh, I get 10 new followers."
Yeah.
It's that I want to see who followed me, so that maybe there's somebody interesting there that I follow back, and I see it right away. If I'm looking at Twitter, then I should know right now. Okay, somebody followed me. Who are they? Or I don't want to look at an email later. I don't want to go through things later. That's just putting off what I can do right now.
But I get those messages on my iPad and my iOS device from Tweetbot. It pops up on the lock screen. It says someone just retweeted you or someone just followed you.
But it doesn't show you on the timeline.
But it's better because it shows me instantly on the lock screen.
I want to see it on the timeline.
Okay, all right, fair enough.
You can argue with me all you want about this, but I'm telling you, it's not in the timeline, and that's why I want it.
Okay, that's fair.
Now you're just getting me upset.
Well, yes, I like getting you upset.
Now you're getting me upset. Now I'm going to start, throwing the empties and stuff.
Unlike Amplified, this is my show. I don't care if I piss you off. I don't got to kiss your ass anymore. 9 to 10 every Wednesday, I got to kiss your ass. Every other time, I don't got to kiss your ass.
Hey, remember with beer bottles when you could make sounds?
You could always do that with beer bottles. I miss Stubbies.
I haven't done that in years.
I miss Stubbies. Do you miss Stubbies?
I miss Stubbies.
Yeah, so do I. If for no other reason,
this conversation is just going nowhere too fast.
I miss Stubbies, and for no other reason, you could fit more of them in your beer fridge.
Yeah. It's because you could tip the Stubbies upside down and stack them.
Exactly. You could get like 2/3 more in your beer fridge, for Christ's sake. That's why I like Stubbies.
And by beer fridge, you mean snowbank.
Exactly. That's right. That too. Yeah, folks, you guys haven't lived until you use the snowbank outside as your beer fridge. Literally.
Yeah.
Some of you Americans who live a little further south don't know what we're talking about, but literally when we were kids, at least my dad, I don't know about your dad, but my dad would literally leave, he would go to the liquor store, buy beer, not even bring it in the house. He would leave it outside in a snowbank.
Yep.
And when he wanted another beer, he'd say, Shawn, go get me another beer. You'd go outside into the snowbank and pull your dad a beer.
Yeah.
Oh, God, good times, good times.
That's the life of living in Canada.
That's
baby.
right, exactly. We talked about this on Amplified this morning, the fact that Apple is now a $700 billion company by market valuation. Do you think Apple will become a $1 trillion company, Jim?
Yes.
Really? See, I don't think they will.
Yeah. I do.
I think it's the next 300 billion is going to be the harder part for them because of the numbers that I've read and how much more.
But you're relying on comments and numbers from analysts that don't know what to talk about. No, I'm being serious.
I understand. No,
the next. You know what determines the next 300 billion for Apple?
What?
The next big product. That's what determines the next 300 billion.
Okay.
If Apple releases a product that is a killer product, not even as big as the iPhone or iPad, but a killer product, that 300 billion is going to come fast, and they're going to be $1 trillion company. If Apple releases a dud for whatever reason, like, maybe Johnny and Tim went out and get drunk together or something, I don't know. But if they just release a dud, then that 700 will drop down.
Mm-hmm.
Then they'll only be a $500 billion company.
I think the hard part
that's
is
what's going to determine it.
Yeah, I don't know if the next great product from Apple will push them over that edge. I think they're part of it is the market is going to pull back from Apple. Now, if you could play a tune on that, I'd be okay with it. But you can't. So stop it.
Okay. Fine.
Fine. So if Apple, I think that the numbers, it's just harder to get that much higher. It's going to be harder. Wall Street's unlikely to, for lack of a better term, allow Apple to double its share price from what it is now inside, let's say, the next 5 years. I think there's going to be continual pullback from those levels.
But again, it's only going to be pullback if Apple doesn't nail it. If Apple nails it, and remember now, we're not talking about a category that Apple is already in. I'm talking about like a blockbuster product, maybe not on the scale of the iPhone because that's. But let's say that Apple did, just for the sake of argument, and Gene, if you're listening, don't take this and run with it. But let's just say that Apple is talking about a TV and they completely change the television experience and the world goes nuts like they did for the iPhone and everybody goes out and buys this TV. The market is going to determine that 300 billion. It's not going to be Wall Street. Wall Street will have nothing to say about that 300 billion because Apple will continue to pull in money hand over fist. And if they can nail another consumer market like they did with the iPhone, then they've already done it. Let's say that they've done it with the iPod and the iPhone for sure. Yeah. Those are two consumer markets that they absolutely nailed, and they rode that right to the end with the iPod. The iPhone, they're still riding it. The iPad is a little bit different because I think that a lot of users see the iPad more as a computer, so they're not upgrading as much. It's not as much of a commodity device as the iPhone is. Yeah. But maybe the television is the next thing that they can ride that wave. And if they do, look out, 300 billion is going to seem like chump change. I mean, Tim will come out and probably hand me $300 billion just for talking nice or something. Tim goes home and shakes out his socks and finds $300
Yeah,
billion.
no kidding. Speaking of the iPad, there was a report from the analytics firm IDC, which, by the way, IDC's numbers are quite often a little shaky, shall we say. At the very least, they're often shaky, especially when it comes to Apple. So they're saying...
By shaky, you mean they make them up?
I don't say they make them up. I'm just saying that some of them they're pulling out of suspect sources. IDC does not...
Like their ass?
Well, yes, their asses. Okay, IDC is full of shit and don't have a clue what they're talking about. All right, we'll just say it.
Okay, well, that blows that story.
Exactly. And so they come out with a report that says 2014 will mark the first time since its launch that the iPad will see a year-over-year decline in sales. Now, first of all, 2014 is not over. 2014,
Right.
I think Apple will have, as a company, the greatest Christmas selling season of any company in the history of the known frickin' universe.
Agreed.
Now, I don't think that means they're going to sell 18 billion iPads, but I think they're going to sell a lot of everything. So for IDC to jump the gun and say year over year iPads will decline, I think is a bit of a stretch. Not a lot of a stretch because they have been in decline over the past previous 9 months. So I'll give them that a little bit. But the asshats at TUAW write this headline: iPad sees first full year decline, is definitely maybe doomed.
Oh, my. See, I told you I was going to end up having 3 beer by
Yep.
the time we were done.
Yep, I agree with you.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well, as you said, first of all, the year isn't over. And I think trying to determine what people are going to do during the holiday season shopping is just, that's just stupidity to try and figure that out. We've seen Apple strong quarters in the past. And I think that this is going to be another one. They've got 2 great phones on the market. Shipping times for the Plus, the iPhone 6 Plus is getting better. The 6 is selling great. The iPads are going to sell great. And, until I'm proven wrong, I will maintain that people treat their iPads more like a computer than they do iPhones. And that determines a longer life for users. But when they're ready to upgrade, they're going to go buy another iPad. It's not that people are buying something else besides an iPad.
Yeah.
There is nothing better on the market. And I'm not just saying that because I like the iPad. I'm saying that because the numbers show it. I mean, Samsung dropped 60% the last quarter in profits. Well, that's not because they're selling more of their tablets.
mm-hmm.
So I think that's the reason.
Even if we allow for IDC to be right, then Apple will continue to see declines in the iPad. The word doomed means something. For those of us who've been around a long time, we all remember the days when Apple was doomed with every single news report. For a Macintosh,
Apple was doomed every day.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Now, if this story came from Dvorak or Rob Enderle or CNET or ZDNet, I understand that. But for a website like TUAW to post something like this is literally head-shaking to me. Makes me think, what is wrong? And I'm not saying that they need to be fanboys and they need to say only positive things about Apple. The story of IDC saying that year-over-year declines is a legitimate story. And it certainly is a concern of Apple, as well it should be. But to tack on that doomed bit at the end of it makes you want to punch somebody in the throat.
I think that those types of stories in a lot of instances, because it comes from an analytics firm and a market research firm, people tend to take that, straight up. And you can't take stuff like that straight up. You have to point out to your readers that, there are some caveats here. First of all, the quarter isn't over. Mm-hmm. The year isn't, Although Apple's, and that's something else, is IDC talking calendar year, fiscal year, what are they even talking about?
Yeah.
Because Apple's fiscal year ended in September.
Yeah.
We're already in the first quarter of 2015 fiscally. Now, calendar year, that's a different thing. I mean, then you go to December 31st. Well, people are going to buy all kinds of stuff between now and December 31st. Is Apple putting on, half off iPad sales? No. Are they worried about iPad sales? I wouldn't say that they're worried. I would say that they're looking at it the same way that you and I are talking about it right now.
Yeah.
Why aren't people buying iPads? Well, maybe like I said, maybe they see it as a replacement for a computer. Maybe they already have a computer and they're going to get an iPad next. Every report that I've ever seen about people and iPads say that people that don't have them will buy them, and people that have them will buy them again.
The issue is, and this is something I don't think Apple saw and a lot of folks didn't see, is that people are perfectly happy generally with the iPad they already have, and they hold on to them much, much longer than a lot of people, Apple and others, expected them to. I mean, I held on to my first iPad for 4 years.
Yeah.
I think a lot of folks were expecting the upgrade cycle on the iPad to be at maybe 2 years, maybe 2.5 years, and so this maybe 4 or 5 year upgrade cycle is what is catching Apple out. The ironic thing is, it's because Apple makes such a good product. That's the worst part about this.
Apple could do what those brain dead people at New York Times accused them of, and saying that the new OS makes it so slow that people have to go buy more.
Yeah.
They don't do that, but there are things that Apple could do to force people to go buy more, but they're a reputable company, so they don't. They want people to enjoy the product that they have.
Yep.
And, if you can't afford an iMac and you want an iPad because all you do is check email and surf the web, there's nothing wrong with that. Get an iPad and go for it. And if that iPad lasts you for 3 or 4 years, then that's great. But that's the difference. People will buy an iPad and they will use it as their computer.
Yeah.
And it will last 3 or 4 years. So instead of tracking tablet sales like iPhone sales, they should track tablet sales like they do PC sales and see what the turnover rate is there and compare that to the turnover rate of a tablet.
The other thing that's interesting, I don't know if you saw this story today, was that there is some studies that are showing that because of the size of the iPhone 6, and particularly the iPhone 6 Plus, people are using their iPads a lot less, up to 2/3 less than they were before they got the iPhone 6 Plus in particular, which is something I think we expected to see, was that as the iPhone got bigger, people would use their iPad less. Have you found that?
Well,
I know you're using your iPhone 6 Plus frequently, but I don't think I think you've said you aren't using your iPad less, are you?
No, I use my iPads about the same amount, but
Yeah.
What's interesting these days is maybe what's kept me from using my iPad even more is the instant hotspot.
Yeah.
Because now I can actually use my computer.
Yeah.
You just go to Wi-Fi on your computer, and there's your iPad for an instant hotspot. So, when I go out, if I take my little man bag with my 11-inch Air and my iPad, before I would have no choice but to really pull out my iPad, right? Now I can pull out my computer, connect to my iPad, and have Wi-Fi. So I can go sit at Starbucks and have a completely gruesome cup of coffee and use my computer and not have to connect to their network, because their network is very slow.
Yeah.
So I get a faster connection over LTE using my iPad.
Yeah. It must be killing you to live down in the States and not have access to Timmy's.
I know. I need that.
Is there any kind of like a local coffee shop that makes good coffee, or are you just stuck with Starbucks?
Right up the road from me is Blue Bottle.
Oh, okay. All right.
And Blue Bottle makes a fantastic cup of coffee. It's different than Tins. It's probably on the scale of, I don't know, maybe 100 times better than Starbucks. I think my ass is on fire.
I'll call the police, the fire guys. The problem with Blue Bottle.
Oh no! Hold on. No.
All right, sorry.
I got it.
Wait. I think the problem with Blue Bottle is, at least whenever I've been there during a Mackerel Expo, it's always been packed to the gills.
Yeah, that's true, and that's that one Blue Bottle off of Market, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, the one that's up the street from me is at Valley Fair Mall in San Jose, and it's kind of like a local secret, I think, because it's in the mall, but it's not called a Blue Bottle. It's a Coffee Central or something like that. Mm-hmm. But Blue Bottle supplies all of the coffee for this kiosk. And I didn't know it at first, and somebody told me that there was a Blue Bottle in the mall. I walked all through the mall looking for a Blue Bottle. Couldn't find it.
Looking for the word Blue Bottle.
Yeah. And then when you look at Coffee Central and you go on the side where they make them, they're making it exactly the way Blue Bottle does in their store.
Yeah.
You know, with the single cup and the coffee filter and the ceramic single cup filter and all that kind of stuff. And I said, So I went up and I said, you make Blue Bottle coffee? And they said, yes, they're the only ones like south of San Francisco that do it. So now if anybody asks me, is there a Blue Bottle? I say, no, you got to go to San Francisco.
Exactly. Yeah. You don't want to let people know.
No, don't take I don't want to go do a line with like 10 people deep. I just walk up, order my coffee, and away I go.
Exactly.
So yeah, there's Blue Bottle. Pizza's better than Starbucks. But yeah, that's about it. No Timmy's or anything.
It's a shame. It's an absolute shame that you've lost such a Canadian institution.
I know.
Folks, I'll be talking to Jim Dalrymple from The Loop at loopinsight.com. Jim and I did Amplify this morning. It's not yet. We didn't do it live, unfortunately, because Dan and Hattie over there at 5x5 had other commitments, and hopefully they'll get it posted up sometime tomorrow. But easiest thing to do is go to the iTunes store and subscribe to Amplified. Do a search for Amplified and then subscribe to it. And that way it shows up in your inbox, in your podcasting app, and whatever it is that however you check and watch, listen to podcasts, it shows up automatically there. So check it out, Amplified. Or go to 5x5.tv/Amplified. Jim Dalrymple from The Loop. Thanks for joining me, buddy. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Shawn.
Have a good night. See ya.
Bye.
I want to say thanks, as always, to Jim for joining us. Where did I go with that? That was a really lame segue. This is a great time of year. I've mentioned this before. A great time of year for photography. A lot of folks don't think that, because for a lot of us beginners, people think that you need a lot of light in order to take pictures. Well, you don't actually. In a lot of ways, having too much light is worse than having overcast light. So having bright sunlight is worse than cloudy. Cloudy is actually better. Overcast is actually better. And certainly here, for those of us in the Northern Hemisphere, our winters are great for cloudy, great for overcast, great for frickin' miserable rain crap that we've been having here in Vancouver for 5 days. So keep that in mind, that you don't have to stop shooting this time of year. The other thing is, there's also great shots to be had for festivities, for Christmas trees and Christmas lights and ornaments and people bundled up and all that kind of stuff. So don't put your camera away this time of year. Still look for interesting shots to take. If you'd like, this was a subject matter I covered on the Starting Point Photography newsletter. You can subscribe to it by going to yml.me/SPP. That'll get you to our newsletter, and you can subscribe to the newsletter. I'm going to talk now about a really cool app that I found. I don't know exactly when it was. I know it was a few years. It was at least a year ago. Called Over. The company's website is, let me just find it for you guys, madewithover.com. is the company's website. Made, M-A-D-E, with over.com. They're doing this whole Project Red thing with 100% of the proceeds going to fight AIDS by limited edition fonts and artwork from those guys. A lot of the app developers are doing this kind of thing. It's a great cause. I'm not going to denigrate them for what they're trying to do. It's a great cause that Apple is spearheading. But so the app is, I think it's still free on the iOS store. So go to the iOS store, do a search for Over, O-V-E-R. And what happens is you'll download the app, and here I'll show you guys. Let me just pull this up on the screen for you. Slide to unlock. So the app, when it opens up, is very simple. It's nothing fancy. It's just a simple little thing. You choose. Can I do this sideways? I can. Look at that, full screen. You choose a photograph in the app. And you very simply, you see on the left-hand side, it says add text, add artwork. So I'm going to add text. And there it pops up with text already entered. And it says double tap to edit text. All right, so I'll double tap on it. And there is a text box. You can see the blue line just flashing there. Below it are all the different colors. So I'm going to type in 1,000 km. This is where I was on the motorcycle when I rolled over 1,000 kilometers on the bike. I can choose different colors to match the background. I like white on this one right now. So now I'm going to click done. And that's it. I can move this around. As soon as you start grabbing the text to move it around, you'll get the rule of thirds graphic. And so I want to put this up in the upper left-hand corner. Well, that's kind of boring. It's kind of a poorly done graphic. But you'll see that red triangle on the right-hand side. I tap that, and this is where the magic starts. You can see that turns into a little bit of a wheel. And you can see as you slide around the wheel, various options will pop up. So my first option is going to be to edit. When you click on the edit button, in the lower left-hand side, I get a tint field and a bar I can grab and slide back and forth to tint the text. Well, I've already chosen black, so I don't want to do that. Let me get back to edit. And what I can do is tint the entire text, the entire graphic. I don't want to do that. But I want, if I scroll up, look at all the options I've got. Tint, size, opacity, rotate, crop, moving things up and down, centering, left justification, right justification, line, and character. So first thing I want to do is click on size. Come on back. Edit, size. And as I tap size, look at the text of 1,000 kilometers. It gets bigger. I can still grab it and move it around. So now maybe 1,000 kilometers doesn't look so good up there. What about up there? How about down here? Over here? I think in the lower right, lower left, it'll look better. Choose edit again. You can also change the opacity of the thing that you're looking at, the text. So I can fade it down again by just tapping on it. You can see how it's becoming more and less opaque. I can rotate it so the text can be off center. I kind of like it like that. I can crop it. I can change the line style, the thickness of it, and the character, the kerning, how much the text, how far away the spacing of the letters are. But I can also change the font. They've got a whole bunch of different fonts in here that you can play around with and buy. It's got a bunch of free fonts. But it's also got a bunch of, trying to find the free font. I know I got a bunch of free fonts in here. I think, is it these ones? So 99 cents. Usually the font packs are about 99 cents. I can't find the ones I've already bought. I know they're here somewhere. Anyway, so you can play around with this. Brian Monroe says they're on the bottom of that list. Oh, there they are. Thank you, Brian. The app's moved around because of the Project Red thing. The apps has moved a bunch of stuff around, so you can just play around with fonts and see which fonts might look better for the text that you want to put in here. I think the original font looked pretty good. Just trying to find actually, that Blackout Sunrise font looks kind of cool. But now, because I've used a different font, I'll go back to edit. I want to change the color to maybe black. No, black doesn't work. Double tap. Go back to white. Edit. Anyway, so this is your graphic. And now you click again that wheel and you can choose to share. And you can share in all the usual ways, Facebook and Twitter and Instagram, and you can iMessage it to people, email it, create a postcard, send it to Pinterest, a whole bunch of different options like that. And there's the over options. So it's kind of a fun little app to play around with. Not every photo needs text. Most photos, you know, the old line is a picture is worth 1,000 words. Not every photo needs text, but some photos do. So this is, I think, a perfect example of a photo that needs text. If I just post this photo, it doesn't actually mean anything to anybody. But if I post it with the text of 1,000 kilometers, it kind of tells folks that this is where I was when my bike rolled over to 1,000 kilometers. So you decide how much text you want to put on it and where you want to put it and that kind of stuff. It doesn't always work, but for some apps, you know, a perfect example is maybe you want to identify people in a photo. You've taken a group photo and you want to identify all the people. It's a wedding snapshot or it's a friends and family snapshot and you want to identify Uncle Bill and Aunt Sally and all that kind of stuff. So you can use these kinds of apps. This is all done on the iPhone. I was using the iPad, but you can certainly do it on the iPhone too. It's all done with a finger tap interface, real simple to use, real easy to edit, all kinds of different options on this thing. I'm just playing around with it again to see what happens when I move. What I'm trying to do is trying to find a thicker line width. I thought there was a way of getting a thicker font on that, but maybe there isn't. They also may have changed that in the app. I guess I'll use that Helvetica New as a. So it's kind of neat. I like the app. Like I said, not every one of my photos. Actually, I put text on very few of my photos, but when I do need and want to put text on a photo, over from the website again is madewithover.com. And it's free right now. So go grab it. It's got a bunch of in-app purchases. The in-app purchases are generally associated with font packs. So if you want to buy new font packs, you can use the Over app and get a whole bunch of different fonts. And I know they've often got different kinds of sales. And right now they've got, as the website says, you can buy limited edition fonts and artwork to be able to add to your photos and give them a little bit of extra oomph to add text and add things to the photos. So check it out, Over on the iTunes Store. And again, if you want more information about photography in general, please send me an email. If you have any photography questions, I'm always happy to answer questions from folks about photography in general. Always enjoy doing that. Had a great time. I did my photography class this past Sunday at the British Columbia Institute of Technology here in Vancouver, BCIT, for some students. We had a lot of fun talking about things. One of the neat things was afterwards I got an email from one of the students, and he asked the greatest question, if only because it's one of those questions that every photographer gets asked on a regular basis. And the short version of it is, what camera should I buy? This was Nick, and he said, I'm currently looking for my first DSLR camera and hoping to attend your DSLR introductory course in January. I was wondering if there's any cameras that you'd recommend. I feel that a sensible budget for a camera and a lens would be roughly $800 to $1,400. And I'm looking to get something I can use to shoot landscapes and telephoto. I'm hoping to find something I can transport around fairly easily, as typically I'd want to go out for a primary purpose such as hiking or skiing. But I want to have a good quality camera with me. Any advice you can offer would be appreciated. I wrote back to Nick, hey Nick, you've asked for the impossible. The things that he wants are great and completely understandable. The problem is he's looking for the perfect camera, both from a usability point of view, from a functionality point of view, from a price point of view. That can't happen. Good, fast, cheap, pick two. That's the way it's always going to be. Good, fast, cheap, pick two. If you want it good and fast, it ain't going to be cheap. So you want good and fast, you're going to want a high-end DSLR, but it's going to cost you upwards of $2,000. If you want fast and cheap, it ain't going to be any good. If you want good and fast, fast and cheap, what am I looking at? Cheap and good, it ain't going to be fast. That's what I wrote to him, too. I said, you want a camera that's good for landscapes and telephoto. Well, you can't. It's not possible, at least lens-wise. You have to buy two separate lenses. You need a wide-angle lens for landscape and a zoom lens for telephoto. There is no lens worth the money that will do good landscape and good telephoto. You'll see sales on lenses that you buy an 18 to 300 lens, and you think, wow, it's great, wide angle and zoom, I'll buy that one. It's going to be a crap lens. I swear to God, it's going to be a crap lens. Unless the lens costs you $15,000, that's going to be a crap lens. Because no lens can get good quality through that entire range of 18 to 300, even 18 to 200. One of my first lenses I bought, I thought would be a good lens, was the Nikon 18 200mm lens. It was okay, but it wasn't very good. He's asking for a budget of $800 to $1,400. That's good. That's a good budget for an SLR. But he's also asking for something that you can transport around fairly easily. So you're probably looking at maybe a point-and-shoot camera? Probably a mirrorless camera is most likely. Something that's light and compact and easy to carry around, maybe easy to put in a jacket pocket. But then he says he wants something that's good for hiking or skiing. So you want something that's good for maybe adverse conditions. Well, now we're getting into the range of either a weather-sealed camera, and that's $2,000 or up, or a point-and-shoot like the Olympus Tough cameras, which I've always recommended. The Olympus Tough cameras are okay as a camera, but if you want to take it skiing, if you want to take it underwater, it's the latest line of Tough cameras is good to a 30-foot depth, a 10-meter depth. If you want to be able to take it out in the rain and the snow and the beach and that kind of stuff, this is a great camera. So you've got to realize when you are asking for these things that a lot of us are going to be asking for the perfect camera, and cameras are always going to be about compromises. Always, always, always. There's no such thing, at least in the price ranges that we all can afford, as the perfect camera. So you'll have to compromise. Find out where your compromises are. And for some people, maybe the compromise is an SLR that you can switch lenses on. That you can put a telephoto lens on and then swap that out for a wide-angle lens. But then you're carrying around two lenses. You gotta watch out what you're asking for, because some of the stuff that folks ask me about is impossible to answer. I can't tell you And that's the other aspect of it too. I don't know what kind of camera you're going to like. I personally like my D600. I personally love the Nikon D4S because it's huge. It's a massive camera. But I like the way it feels in my hand. I like the fact that it's a big camera. Big, solid, heavy, weather-sealed camera. But I hand the D3S or the D4S to folks, and they look at me like I'm insane. Like, how can you carry this thing around? You don't look like a bodybuilder. It's huge. It's a camera I like. And other folks like little tiny point and shoots. That's great. Monty says, in the photography world, that should be revised to pick 1.5. Yeah, he's not wrong. He's absolutely not wrong. Macman, I have a Sigma 28-200 as my walk-around lens. Nice lens, but not spectacular. Exactly. Macman sounds like he may be in the market for something like the Sony NX100. It's a point and shoot, but it has a lot of pro features like RAW, manual control, etc. I love a D600. Monty, I want Nikon 70mm lens to do some portrait work with, but it's $1,890. See, there's a whole range of people and things. What I eventually told Nick is because he's looking for his first DSLR. For your first DSLR, buy a Canon Rebel with the kit lens. Buy the equivalent Nikon with the kit lens. Buy the equivalent Olympus with the kit lens. Learn how to use that camera first. Learn how that camera works. Learn what aperture is, what shutter priority is, what manual is. Learn how to use a DSL first. Learn what kind of photographer you are. And then, in a year's time, maybe 2 years' time, look to buy a more specific camera that's more dedicated to the kind of shots that you want to take. For example, when I was first shooting with my Nikon D50, I thought, oh yeah, I want a zoom lens. So I bought the 18-200 zoom lens. And I found I wasn't using the zoom very often. So when I got my Nikon D600, I bought a 18-70, I think it's 18-70 lens, which is fine for the kind of shooting I like. It was a 6-year period of time between the first one and this last one. And I knew what kind of photographer I was in the interim. I knew I wasn't going to take huge zoom shots. And I also knew for the kind of way I was presenting my images, I'm going to crop them down anyway. I'm going to, if I can take a picture of a building that's far away or something that's far away, and in software zoom in and crop it, and then post it to Facebook or Twitter or whatever it might be. So I didn't need a big 300mm zoom or anything else like that. So learn to use the camera first before you go spending a whole lot of money on lenses and bodies and other aspects of that kind of stuff. Monty says, when I was visiting Shawn, Ian, and Bill in Portland, Shawn and I went out shooting along the Riverwalk one day. I dropped the 1870 kit lens that came on my D300. It broke the mount. It was inconvenient, but I would have died if it had been a real lens. Yeah, no kidding. That would have sucked, Monty. As always, send us emails to onair@yourmaclifeshow.com. I love getting emails from you guys, whether you're tuned in live during the show, whether you are checking the show out on the archive or whatever it might be. Please send me emails. I got to grab this. Hang on real quick. I got to grab this. Our good friend Les Posen down there in Australia sent me a picture of his dog. Les, I got to tell you, that's the greatest name for a dog ever. Les's dog's name is, hang on, let me just get this queued up. Move that over there, and I should have got this queued up before the show. I know, I'm sorry. Where did, there we go, wire cutter. And then I have to remember to turn the audio onto built-in. All right, so this is Les Posen's dog. Training. Not bad for a 10-year-old, he says. The white object on the dog's collar is a GPS tracker that Apple featured at WWDC. It's called Tractive. His dog's name? Shrek. What a great name for a dog, man. What a great freaking name for a dog. Shrek. And he kind of looks, he doesn't look like a Shrek, but yeah, you can see why you would name your dog Shrek. That's kind of cool. Thanks for sending the picture, Les. That was neat. Dave Martin, our good friend Dave Martin, sends us now he sent me 2 pictures of Sly. Pictures taken with Sly, myself, and our good friend Steve Melnicki at Macworld Expo. I'm going to post these pictures when hell freezes over. I'm not posting pictures of Sly. She'd kill me. See, this is how much Sly scares me. She's not even in the IRC chat room. Sly is never going to listen to this show. She would never know that I posted the pictures. I'm still not posting them. I'm still not letting you guys see the pictures because she would kill me. I don't want to die just yet. Dave Martin says, no, I use Lyft, L-Y-F-T. Uber sucks balls. All right. Fair comment. Mark Semin says, hey, folks, I use my iPad camera to document house damage from Hurricane Odile. I'm wondering if there's an app which will let me annotate or otherwise add text on the picture so as to define the location, damages, etc. for the person viewing the pictures. Mark, buddy, boom, nailed it for you. It may be a little fancier than what you'd like, but Over will do that. Also, you say you want to annotate pictures on the iPad. So, yeah, Over will do that. But if you bring them onto your desktop, on your Macintosh, Preview will let you annotate pictures, too. You can add arrows to things and lines, and there's a whole bunch of photo editing stuff you can do with something as simple as Preview. I got to believe that iPhoto does it, and other apps will do it, too. Over will let you do that. So I'll give that one a try. Let's see. We'll find out at least one more email. Come on, where's that other email I was looking for? Oh, we're talking about cameras before. Get this question all the time. How would you advise someone? A friend of mine a few months ago offered to sell his Nikon camera to me. Which one would you suggest is best, Nikon or Canon? We had this conversation on the Starting Point Photography class I taught this Sunday. No such thing. There's no such thing as the best camera, whether it's a Nikon or a Canon or a Pentax or an Olympus or a Panasonic. There may be some cameras that are better for certain situations than others. Certainly Nikon and Canon are the upper echelon of DSLRs, Canon even more so than Nikon. I think Canon's got between like 65 and 75% of the DSLR market, with Nikon having most of the rest. And then the smaller companies, Olympus and Pentax and Panasonic, having the very, very small share of the rest. That doesn't mean those are the best cameras. Not at all. There are people that will swear by their Nikons and swear by their Canons. And in certain situations and in certain camera models, maybe that Nikon has this thing it does better. Maybe that Canon has this thing it does better. But overall, nobody can say this camera, this manufacturer is better than all the others. A perfect example is in the wireless market, in the mirrorless market, other companies are eating Canon and Nikon's lunch. Olympus, Sony, Fuji, even Panasonic make subjectively better mirrorless cameras than Nikon and Canon. And you'd assume that Nikon and Canon would make better ones, but they don't. If you want a camera with wireless capabilities, Canon and Nikon's wireless capabilities suck. They're terrible. If you want lens selection, then you can get just as many lenses from a Nikon as you can from a Canon. Now, how many lenses do you need? Canon, I think at the last count, Canon has got almost 300 different lenses, and Nikon's almost got that many too. And Olympus has 57. Does that mean they're worse lenses? No, not at all. Just that there's a wider range. Doesn't mean they're better. They have more. So never get into the argument. The argument of which is better, Canon versus Nikon, is the exact same question as Mac versus PC, Ford versus Chevy, BMW versus Harley. They're unanswerable questions. And they're arguments that you shouldn't even be bothered to get into because they're pointless. You're never going to convince the other person, and they're never going to convince you. So don't bother. Brian Monroe says, what about GoPros, Shawn? GoPro, I've been following GoPro since I've been riding a motorcycle because a lot of motorcyclists use the GoPro cameras. I think they are utterly useless because for the vast majority of folks who mount a GoPro to something, their helmet, their surfboard, their kite, no one's ever going to see that video because no one cares to watch that video. Yeah, every now and then you'll see something on YouTube. It's a great GoPro video. But there are terabytes of GoPro videos out there that no one's ever going to look at. Because for the most part, the videos are crap. They're all shaky and they're jerky and they're low quality and they're just not very good. Now, that being said, the GoPro cameras are the best. There's no doubt about that. When we're talking about those kind of action cameras, GoPros are the number one because they've got the right mounting hardware. They've got great reliability for the conditions that you'll put a GoPro through. But I would never use a GoPro. No one. Why would you want to watch my video of me riding a motorcycle or me surfing or skiing? You don't. People for the most part don't want to watch those videos. Again, they're herky, they're jerky, they're not edited very well. They're kind of pointless. So why bother? MacMan says Harley because BMW makes you a douche. How about this, MacMan? BMW because Harley makes you a douche. It's the same thing. I know asshats who ride Harleys. I know asshats who ride BMWs. I know nice folks who ride Harleys. I know nice folks who ride BMWs. The thing that I dislike, and this goes across the board for Nikon, Canon, Ford, Chevy, Harley, BMW, Yamaha, whatever, Mac, PC. If someone makes a judgment on you based on that choice you make, they're an idiot. I've had people look down on me because I don't ride a BMW. We've all had people look down on us, people who use Macs. And as iPhone users, we've often looked down on folks who use Android. That's more a reflection of you than it is of them. Trust me on that one. I'm trying to figure out how to get into this without getting into it. We've talked a few times on the show about depression, and I've told you guys in the past about my battles with depression. And this is not going to be depressing, but I've had folks ask, how do you help somebody who has depression? How do you offer assistance? And one of the things that everyone does, and it's wonderful, it's fantastic, when they say, I'm here to help you if you ever need it. That's great. The problem is the depressed person doesn't know how to ask you for that help. I saw this great thing on Twitter today. I posted it on my Facebook page. I retweeted it on Twitter, and I want to send it off to you. If anyone who doesn't want to hear this stuff, the show is functionally over right now. So if you want to leave the show and don't want to follow along with this, please, don't worry about it. I have no problem with you doing that. But it's from a Spooky Dweeb is the Twitter account. I think one thing you can do to help your friends who are depressed is to reach out to them, not in the spirit of helping, but in the spirit of liking them and wanting their company. I'm here to help you if you ever need me is good to know, but hard to act upon, especially when you're in a dark place. Specific, ongoing, pleasure-based invitations are much easier to absorb. I'm here. Let's go to the movies. Or let's stay in and order takeout pizza and watch some dumb movie. I'm having a party. It would be really great if you could come for a little while. Ask them for help with things you know they are good at and like doing. So there's reciprocity and a way for them to contribute. Will you come over on Sunday and help me clear my closet of unfashionable, unflattering items? I trust your eye. Will you read this story I wrote and help me fix the dialogue? Want to make dinner together? You chop, I'll assemble. I'm going glasses shopping. I need another set of eyes. Remind yourself why you like this person, and in the process, remind them that they are likable and worth your time and interest. Talk to the parts of the person that aren't being eaten by depression. Make it as easy as possible for them to make and keep plans. There's more to it than that, but you can if you want it, check my Twitter feed, check my Facebook page, or send me an email, and I'll send you off the rest of it. This is great advice. The perfect example of it was when my friend Leslie, I guess I want to say 2-3 months ago. I don't know if you remember me talking about renting a motorcycle about 2 or 3 months ago over a weekend. And the reason why was there was a Saturday afternoon that Leslie and I were going to get together to scout out a location for one of our photography meetup groups. She's been helping me organize these meetups. And for no reason whatsoever, I just didn't feel like going. I was depressed, for lack of a better term. I just couldn't get up the energy to get out of the house. It wasn't that I didn't want to see her. It wasn't that I didn't want to go out and see other people. I just didn't feel like it. And Leslie kept, come on. She didn't know what to do to get me out of the dark place. And finally she figured out the thing that I like doing, which is motorcycling. And as kind and sweet a person as she is, she did an amazing thing for me. She rented the motorcycle. Told me, I'm coming to pick you up. We're going to ride a motorcycle. I want to go on a motorcycle ride. I don't ride motorcycles. You have to take me. And that got me out of the depression. That got me out of that dark place I was in. And it was wonderful. I mean, it was so wonderful that I buckled down and recommitted myself to trying to make enough money so that I could afford to buy a motorcycle. Oops, sorry. And she asked me, and the reason why I'm talking about this now is because she asked me about this today. Her question was, does having the motorcycle, even though I can't ride it, last time I rode it was on Sunday because it's been raining here for the last 4 days. She said, does even having the bike help with depression? I said, yeah, it does. Because I can look forward to things. I don't just sit here and mope about the fact that every day is the exact same, that nothing is changing. I can look forward to tomorrow. I can look forward to Friday. On Friday, I'm going to, actually Leslie and I are going to give blood. And so I'm not looking forward to giving blood. I don't care. I like giving blood. Don't get me wrong. But I'm looking forward to getting on the motorcycle on Friday and just simply driving to downtown Vancouver to the blood bank. It's no big deal. Not going to be a long ride. It's 20 miles, maybe from here to there, through city traffic. So it's not interesting or exciting, but I'm looking forward to it. So the motorcycle helps a huge amount in keeping me out of those dark places, in keeping my head out of my own ass. So that's great advice that Spooky Dweeb wrote, is don't just tell somebody, I'm here if you need help. Actually involve them in something. That helps a lot more than you could ever imagine. So great advice from Spooky Dweeb on Twitter. Spooky Dweeb is their Twitter account if you want to check it out. Brian Monroe says, Monty, as someone who's battled depression for years, this graphic speaks volumes to me. And it's great. I've seen this before. It's two people. One person saying to the other, what's wrong? I don't know. How can I help? I don't know. Okay, I made you a nest. Do you want to come? Okay. Does that help? Yes. Are you ever going to come out? No. Okay, hang on. And the person climbs in to the nest with them. That's brilliant, Monty. That's exactly what it is. People will ask you, can they help? And you don't know how. You want the help, but you don't know how to ask them for it. You don't know what they can do to help. So them being proactive, or you as the friend of the depressed person being proactive, can help a lot. They might still say no, but just the offer is a big help. So great advice. Thanks very much to Spooky Dweeb for posting that up on Twitter. Like I said, I posted it up on my Facebook page and post it to anybody you know who has to deal with, not has to, but deals with depressed people, or send it to your friends if you are depressed, so they know how they can possibly offer some assistance to you in case that you are depressed. As always, send me emails to onair at yourmaclifeshow.com. Love getting emails from you guys each and every week. Until next week, I think that's it. We're done. I want to say thanks very much, as always, to our good friend Jim Dalrymple from The Loop at loopinsight.com for joining us. And as always, thanks to you guys for being tuned in here to the show. If you are American, happy Thanksgiving. Hopefully you will have a fantastic, wonderful, safe, fun Thanksgiving, however you choose to celebrate it, whether you choose to celebrate with family, with friends, by yourself, watching TV, watching football, whatever it might be. Hopefully our friends in the Northeast United States are safe and sound. I know that storm is hitting you guys pretty hard, so please don't do anything silly. Don't drive if you don't have to. Stay indoors and enjoy your family. So until next week, as always, I've been Shawn King, and you've been listening to Your Mac Life. See ya! I can't do that because the thing went to sleep on me. Yes, I know. Caffeine. I know. I just forgot to set it up. So talk amongst yourselves for a second. Hang on. Well, yes, I will fix it in post. Silly computers. It's the Mac Mini is the one that does the audio, and if I don't remember to hit the caffeine button, it goes to sleep because it's set to do that. So that was my fault. All right, here we go. Try this again. I've been Shawn King. You're listening to Your Mac Life. Until next week, see ya. Jeez, what a doofus.